everyone. Happy Tuesday. So today on your Spark It Up Tuesday, we're going to talk about loans. Never really a good thing, but I'm going to go over a couple of highlights of loans. And first off, I want to say that we never ever recommend going into debt. Debt is not a fun place to be. We'll never ever recommend it. But with that said, sometimes it's necessary. So that's what we're going to talk about, loans. Now, I remember 25 years ago, probably, I'm guessing, I was told that banks won't lend to startups. Banks don't lend to startup businesses. Banks don't like businesses. And I remember thinking, well, that's just ridiculous. Isn't that the whole point of a bank, is to help lend you money, give you money, and take your money type thing? And I will tell you, in all of my years of being an entrepreneur and working in the restaurants and then working here for Spark over the last 13 years, that was absolutely a fact. Banks do not lend money to startups. They barely lend money to businesses that have been around a while. Another thing that I was told, which I thought was ridiculous and then found out later to be 100% true, is banks are pretty much only going to lend you the amount of money that you already have, right? So if you have $10,000 in the bank, you probably can get a $10,000 loan. If you have $50,000 in the bank, you might be able to get a $50,000 loan. If you don't have that kind of money already, it's extremely difficult to actually get a loan from a bank. Now, you may think that's ridiculous. If you have $10,000, why on earth do you need it? Well, because maybe you needed 20. The bank is really looking for collateral, and especially with a startup business and also with several industries, banks just do not want to take the risk. It's not worth it for them. They usually have shareholders they have to deal with, depending on the type of bank you're working with, and they just don't want to take any type of risk. So very, very difficult to get a loan from a traditional bank. So I will put that out there. As absurd as it may seem, they just do not like to lend money for anything that they might deem as even slightly risky. So first matter is, if you need money and you're a startup or you're a business where the books don't look extremely profitable and you don't have a lot of history and you need money, well, right now is the best time to get money. Whether you still haven't gotten the PPP, which I don't know if the second half is still open yet, but I know that there are funds out there set aside for people who have been affected, or businesses, I'm sorry, that have been affected by COVID. So I would start there through the SBA, through your Chamber of Commerce, just Googling grants for your state, your county, your town. There's lots of money out there right now, which has never been the case before that I remember. So that's where I would start. Now, if you've already exhausted all of that, maybe you've received the funds, if you've already received the funds and already used them and still need more, I think you got bigger problems than looking for a loan. So that's number one. If you already have received funds and have already blown through them and you're still not quite there and you need more funds, we really need to figure out the makeup of your business and why that's the case. So that's the first thing. But if you didn't take a lot to begin with and you still need extra to kind of get you through this next surge, this next hump, I would definitely look through the SBA website, like I said, the Chamber of Commerce, your state, any type of COVID relief, and just Google it. I know here in Massachusetts, there are several nonprofits that have received funding to lend out to businesses. And that's all very low interest, or should be very low interest, kind of 30-year fixed type loans. So, and some are grants. And grants are great because you don't have to pay it back. Now, you have to prove how you use the funds, and you have to keep a really good set of books so that they can't come in and take the money back. But you can still use the money if it's used for the approved purposes. So grants are great, and I have never seen so many grants available right now. So that's all well and good. Now, the other type of conventional lending, like I said, is almost impossible. But if you do happen to have an established, profitable business with a beautiful set of books that you can prove to a bank, you'll probably be able to get a loan. There are different banks that have better appetites than others to loan to small businesses. I'm not going to put that on this video, but if you are curious as to what banks are small business friendly or certain specific industry friendly and like to know, just shoot me an email or put it here on Facebook and I'll get in touch with you. We do meet with lots of bank managers. They like to take us out to lunch and breakfast every once in a while. Not so much recently, but certainly before COVID hit, I was going out with different bank managers and kind of learning about their products for businesses, and they wanted to learn about us, but really they just wanted us to refer them. And we have a handful of banks that we do think are very small business friendly, and we do give them a lot of referrals, and it's been working out great. So if you want to know that, just send me a private message, and we can let you know what we're finding to be good banks to work with. So then there's just regular kind of fixed loans, which we highly recommend because they're lower interest usually and smaller payments, so they're not going to kill your cash flow. And of course, there's a line of credit, which is interesting. It just has to be really well managed. So that's money that you can pull from, but you're constantly paying it back versus more of a fixed rate like a mortgage type. So they're very, very different. So they're just very different. I'll just leave it like that, right? One is you're constantly paying back, so it's only kind of a short-term amount of money you just want to have quickly available to you versus you want to invest a large sum in your business and you'll pay it back slowly over the next 10, 15, 30 years. Beyond that, there are other places that do high interest loans, and I would be very, very cautious of using them. And those are like Kabbage. And I can't think of some of the other ones. PayPal does a loan program. It's not too bad. Shopify has one. PayPal, Shopify, some of the other bigger point of sales are starting to get into the loan game. They're definitely high interest, but not quite as high as Kabbage. But still, they're almost like having a credit card. That's how high the interest can go, anywhere between 15 and 25%. And those are dangerous. And sometimes they're necessary. But I would definitely really understand the ramifications about getting into a loan like that. And then another tier of loans is like the Kabbage or the ones that attach to your credit card. So you may have seen offers come through saying, "Oh, we'll go ahead and we'll give you 40 grand today. We're just going to take, 40% of your credit card sales until that gets paid back." That is an extremely dangerous loan because it is going to completely crunch your cash while that is getting paid back. So again, I would be very, very nervous about taking on a loan like that. Those loans are really made for desperation. And sometimes, I have seen plenty of businesses take on those loans and manage through it to get to the other side and have done that. But looking back, I'd say every single one of those businesses said, I'd never do that again. I'd find a different way because those are creepy, crazy type loans. So I would be careful of any loans that attach to your credit card at a high interest rate, which normally they do, and any of the kind of like American Express, PayPal, those are a little better, but they're usually high interest rate. So a conventional loan is the way to go. But right now, I'd go right through the SBA. Even maybe your local bank might be offering a better rate on a loan, but you'd have to check on that with them, and only because of COVID, and they're probably be backed by the SBA. And then the last one, it's not even called a loan, it's called a credit card. And I have seen, and I'll never recommend this, I have seen some businesses really strap themselves hard with credit cards, which of course is going to go against your personal credit to get their businesses going. I would never recommend this. It has been done. I've seen it do two things. I've seen it completely crush people and go out of business with a ton of debt and usually results in bankruptcy. And I've seen just a couple manage to get through there and come out the other side, but it took years and tens of thousands of dollars in interest expenses to get those credit cards paid off. If they were to do it again, I'm not sure they would do that again as well. So try not to look at credit cards as a loan program for you. Especially these days, there are better programs out there for loans. So that's it. I just want to go over the different types of money that is out there and available to businesses right now, what looks like a good idea, which again, SBA, your state, the chambers of commerce, grants, things like that, versus what's not so good, the Kabbage loans, maybe even the PayPal loan, Shopify, and certainly credit cards. So you kind of have a better view of the playing field of what you can do in terms of cash flow for your business. But the last thing I'm going to leave with is that if you do take on any type of debt at all, make sure you have a plan to pay it back. Not just, hopefully this will help me make money to pay it back. Have a plan. Have a plan devised of how you're going to use this money to invest in your business, which will then make you this much in sales, which you can then turn around and pay this back. You need to have a solidified plan for this, not just something blowing in the wind. Really important. All right. Okay, that's it for loans. Any questions, you know where to find me. I'm happy to answer any questions about this at all. Thanks. Have a great Tuesday.